Mesero, traiga el champán que quiero complacer las babies de atrás.
Ya me vieron a bailar con el paso que cargo por la pantalla. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Last one y nos vamos en primera voz. Acá tienen el Jay y a segunda voz a quien tenemos.
Your favorite Margarita. I hope that wasn't a messy intro. I like that. High five.
It probably was, but it's okay.
So, what did you think about the song?
I don't know. Y está bueno el ritmo. Está bueno, you know, the chorus and everything. Pero pues ese, como tú dices, no sé si ya lo dijiste o no, pero que las muchachas operadas.
Las babies, las muchachas operadas.
Y las fresas con fresas.
Las fresas.
A mí siempre que dice eso, fresas con crema. No sé por qué, pero not intentionally.
I know. When I was looking for the song, it said, I put fresas y salió crema con fresas, the recipe for fresas con crema.
Yeah, la que sabe todas las michoacanas around.
I know,
here.
dude. There's like, oh my gosh, I called you dude.
Yes,
Not dude. Dude.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a great song. He's number one right now globally. Or second globally and like number one in iTunes, I believe.
I know, that's crazy.
Bueno.
Like they're están saliendo like every single song that they're coming out, it's a hit.
It's a hit. It's catchy.
Hit. It's very catchy.
I don't know if el TikTok is helping him, pero pues no importa.
He's very active. Well, they're they're all JOP and Fuerza Regida. They're all pretty active on social media.
That's cool though.
Everything. Mm-hmm.
It's cool. I'm sorry a little bit, but like, it's cool that he pushes them. Like, he's really like into it, like, hey guys, and he makes fun of them, you know, like, you guys want to get paid, pero no están haciendo.
Like, ándale,
pónganse las pilas, porque
seriously.
Cuando viene papago, bien que quieren, pero no quieren trabajar.
Yeah, is this like these type of songs that like with curse words and all this stuff? Is that something that, let's say, if we were to have kids, is that something that we're gonna allow the kids to listen to?
I think at one point they're gonna, they're gonna discover themselves, and when that part comes, I'll try to manage it, because at the end of the day, yo me la escondía de mis papás, and I still heard it.
I know, like I would listen to Peaches and Cream and all of these love songs.
Receta de whipped cream,
pura fruta. Mira nomás. No, but for real, like I would listen to this type of like my pony, something my I don't know, some pony songs, something about writing, and I was just like, yeah, okay, but I don't know what the hell they were talking about, because I was so gullible back in the day. But yeah, you're right, because eventually they're going to listen to it whenever they get older, or even behind your back, like if you don't let them, at school, because especially if they're at a public school, hay de todo. But that, I mean, you're right, yeah, they're gonna listen to it too, whether we try to hide them from it. I mean, hide it from them.
And I know you've seen this TikTok, and I think it was with David when I told him, like, our parents got mad because we were playing these songs that are very sexual. But back in the day, it was the same thing. Pero nomás porque tenía charcheta y trompeta, it was all good, right?
Provócame.
There you go. That one.
Ay, las canciones de antes estaban muy bonitas. Sí, cómo no.
Bien bonitas para bailar.
Yeah, right. Hay que ponerle esta canción. But it's, again, because it's something that you're listening to. For me personally, I like to listen to the music because I like it.
The rhythm.
Exactly. And it reminded me, because I was watching this podcast. I don't know if you're familiar with Augusto Papa.
Sí.
They were talking about
Los no sabo.
Yeah, the no sabo kids. They're all just like me. There's more of us. No, they were talking about, like, are you going to let your kids listen to this type of music? And I mean, they're all pretty young. I don't think any of them have kids.
No.
Just like us. We're so young, no kids.
Ya estamos más viejitos.
Yeah, they were like, are you going to listen? Like, are you going to let them listen to it? Blah, 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 blah. And I think one of them was like opposed to it. They were like, no, like, I'm not going to let them. But it's just like you said, like it's something that they're going to listen to eventually. Like I did. I feel like if you try to like hide things from your kids, or like close them from the world, I feel like they're going to get curious.
Yeah.
Me, I'm super curious. Like, I'm going to want to know certain things. Like, if I hear somebody talking about it, I'm going to want to know more about it.
Y más con la tecnología que tenemos, super easier now. Before we had a struggle, with LimeWire, but now you just pop YouTube, blah, 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 y ya te sale.
Yeah, you haven't caught yourself, like let's say if you're watching like a video on YouTube or something, or you hear something and you hop off of it because you want to look into it a little bit more. Because sometimes they just like mention it, like whatever it is that you're listening to, but it's just like, I want to know more. Like, what is this? So you jump on and listen and try to figure it out.
Like what the song said, or do you mean like when you're trying to look for a song or anything?
Let's say that they're talking about like some news, like some big news, and they just say, "Oh, did you hear that happened?" Blah blah blah, and they don't really talk too much into it. So you just go and look for it. So same thing with like the parents, because I remember when there was a song that my mom didn't like, and we were on the road, and she would immediately turn it off or like change the channel, and I'm like, why doesn't she want us to listen to it? But I'm just like, but I remember I would just listen to it because my older siblings will listen to that type of music too. So like I didn't mind. Like,
yeah, in your little brain you wouldn't mind, but because you didn't know what it was saying. Again, we go back to that. But I think, yeah, like you said, that type of age, you're more into the rhythm. You're more into like the beat, or it's just something trending. And then you're just like, okay, because you got siblings or cousins or, I mean, who listens to the radio now, right? Pero antes lo que salía en el radio.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what it is. Like, like I said, even to this day, I just like listening to music. Like the fresa one, like the fresa that's talking about, like I don't know if you've seen the video, right? Que doctor, quiero que me revise la operación. I'm like, I'm not listening to the music because of that. It's because it's something that,
but still, yeah, true. But it's entertainment. I mean, you have to make it get catchy, for the same reason. But a great example that I can give you, and I don't think I really share this with anybody, you'd be the first one exclusively.
Oh my, I'm still learning about you even after 12 years, 13 years.
Well, it's nothing really about me, but kind of. So, how I was an immigrant, I couldn't go to Mexico, blah, blah, blah. Si han ido a Tijuana, ya ven que allá hay como toda una hilera de puros clubs y, strip clubs probably too. Not too sure, but I kind of do know, for the reason being que nos íbamos caminando. My sisters were older. I was the young one. Yo tenía que unos 12. But because at school, and because I was into hip hop, the next episode from Dr. Dre. Yeah. Please don't tell me I'm gonna forget what that song is called. The one with the strip club, basically. The very famous one. But the point is that one's basically a strip club song. So we were going, to the strip of Tijuana, and my sisters started getting to the song. They started liking it. But in me, like, I already knew what the song was. My sisters weren't into hip hop like that. Yeah. So I was like, dang, they're really liking a strip tease song, and they don't know what they're basically talking about, but I did. See,
but do you think your parents sheltered your sisters?
No, I think they're on their behalf. They came from Mexico on an older age, so they didn't get to experience the whole hip hop like I did.
So they were just feeling the music, right?
Yeah.
It would be different. I mean, it just depends on how you're raising your kid. Again, we don't have kids. Right. We don't have kids. We don't know what it's like to have kids, but we can kind of we can kind of get a sense of like what's okay and what's not okay, because again, like, we just listen to the music because we like the music, not because we like doing drugs. Like, we don't do drugs. We don't do drugs. We don't go out to strip clubs. No ando toda operada because I can't afford it.
Oh, pedada. I thought you said pedada. I was like, what the heck? Like, dang, okay.
Yeah, like, we don't do any of that stuff. But we just like the music. We like the vibe. Es de ambiente. Yeah, you said ambiente, like ambiente. But it's just how you're raising your kid. Like, if my dad, let's say For you, let's say, I feel like you're very respectful. I feel like you've always been a very respectful person ever since I met you. But if your dad, if you were just, went to the store with your dad and your dad was always like, damn, look at that girl. Like, hey son, like check out that ass or something. Maybe you would have turned out like that.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not gonna say I didn't. But I mean, that's why it's another good thing that I kind of raised my own self.
You kind of do. I feel like I think I was kind of like on the same boat. Like I would kind of do my own thing.
Yeah, so I mean, that was one of the benefits. Like, yeah, I did go with my dad, but I'm not así, like, voy acá o allá. The one that does stick to me, and I told you this one before, is like that, a ver si no está escuchando mi familia, but, when my dad went to the bar and he left us in the car. Yeah, that's the only thing that's always stuck to my head. Yeah.
But I'm like, oh.
I mean, I was young. I was unos 8, 7 años.
But that's not something you would do.
No, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But then again, at that moment, like, I knew it was kind of bad because it was not normal. But like, I'm not, like, I never really judged him for that. See, me kind of explain it. Like, I didn't feel any regret about it. Like, sí se me quedó puesto en la mente, right? But I never, like, I didn't rat him out. I didn't want to go tell my mom. Hasta ahorita, ¿verdad? Pero.
Yeah. No, let's bleep that out. Well, okay, but when you were there, like, waiting outside, was it just me
and my cousin?
Yeah, it was you and your cousin. But while you guys were waiting there, did you have like that
Curiosity?
Not curiosity. Oh, maybe that too. But were you ever like, I don't think we should be here? Or was it more like, okay, I'm a chill, cool, like, well, my dad go get
Pues como todo, ya ves, they always brag us with something. And this is a bad habit that parenting have. I'm going to say it because, like, for this one, my dad, pues ya ves, se metió. Y ¿qué quieren? Una soda, unos chips,
So he would bribe you? You're like, oh, it's cool. Like, ahorita me voy a agarrar unas papitas, una soda.
But it wasn't like we were, honestly, pues ni sé si cuánto tiempo, but I'm going to say we weren't like there, hasta el amanecer tampoco.
Yeah.
It was only like an hour maybe or less. They just wanted to go have one. But the reason why I knew it was a bar and the reason I wasn't curious, porque mi papá siempre jugaba que, tu mamá anda en la Pantera, or, se fue al Copacabana. It was just bars in Mexico. So he will always, probably because he used to go a lot to them, that he would make it a fun thing, kind of like making it fun of himself, saying, your mom fue a la cantina, kind of. So he would just make fun of it on his own self.
Yeah.
So that's why it wasn't rare for me to hear him, like, going to a bar. It wasn't like, oh, what the heck is there? Because I kind of knew it from me growing up and listening to him say this all the time.
Yeah. Now I'm thinking of myself. I'm like, what did my dad know? Because, I mean, my dad would drink. My parents didn't really curse.
Yeah. My dad did.
Taking it back to the music. Like, the music, it's like, oh, are you really going to let your, like, a lot of, like, some people are like, no, like, music influences kids. But I don't, in a sense, yes. Maybe it does influence people. But then again, it's bringing it back to the parenting. How are you raising your child? And I know it's not easy, but, like, I mean, maybe it has to do with, like, how you're parenting your child.
Pero como eso de la música, como tú dices, and I've said it before, I think music really helped me growing up. So I'm thankful for that. And yes, my parents didn't listen to anything that used to be cussing and stuff. I heard my dad cuss, but I wouldn't, like, I don't think I would relate music with my dad cussing. You get me? It was just something separate.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then I got the habit of listening to stuff like cussing because that's what was trending in my growing up. And yes, I will cuss, but I wouldn't cuss. I would cuss because I was singing disque como ahorita al principio del podcast. But it was more because, that's what I became of, like, liking it. And then my dad, the only thing I do remember, like, and this is something that will always be stuck in my head, and there's nothing wrong or right, you guys can do whatever, but he hated when women cuss.
When women cussed? You know what's funny? I think that's kind of a thing because I can't remember who it was, but growing up, I think it was my older brother. He didn't like hearing women cuss either. Like, why is that?
It's just something that like as my parents or my dad, like siempre decía like se miran feas or like no se oye bien que una girl's cussing. But you met one of my aunts that used to cuss a lot.
Oh man, she had a little potty mouth.
And how was that? You see?
But they were close. They were close with each other, right?
Not
kind
really.
of. No, they were.
But the example is like you've never heard this part, right? A woman actually cuss so much, right?
Yeah.
So now you met one of my aunts that used to cuss a lot, but that was probably something new for you. So how did you take it?
To me, it did. Because it did throw me off because in my family también we're not potty. Well, whenever I talk about my family, just to put it out there, whenever I talked about my family, I'm really close with my mom's side of the family because growing up, just a little side story that way. That way my dad's side of the family are like, what? We're not like that. My dad's side of the family, they do curse a lot, but my mom's side of the family, I grew up with them more. So they don't really say bad words. Like they're not, party and, cursing or anything. So for me, when I heard your aunt, I was just like, oh. It was just like...
You were like, is she mad or something?
No, not mad. But I mean, I've met people like that before. I'm just throwing bad words. Pero like their whole... Like they can't say a whole sentence. And within a whole sentence, they've already used up all of the bad words in the bad word dictionary. Yeah. But yeah, and I mean, taking it back to the music, I feel like it just depends on how you're raising your kids. And... what you're really teaching them, because if you're telling them like, oh, this is just bad because blah blah blah.
O música del Satanás.
Esas son porquerías. Like my mom would say, esas son unas porquerías. But to me, I'm like, why is it a porquería? Like it's just music. I'm just listening to it. Like one of my uncles, I don't know if I ever told you, that he would rage. Like he absolutely, and hate, you know how they say hate is a strong word. He absolutely hated hip hop music or any like reggaeton because he's like, I think he was just a really strong believer. Like that's going to influence you, who you are, or in the future or something. I don't know. I'm like, I should bring my uncle and be like, why were you like that?
No,
Theo? Like, why?
But then think about it too. He did have a lot of little girls and now he has a son. And I think the son is the one that's getting away with stuff because he's doing a lot of TikToks and stuff
and
like
it's funny that you're...
But I don't think it has to do with anything of being a boy and a girl. I just think at that moment, he's just visualizing it like that. Like, okay, I have girls, so I have to kind of change it a little bit. Because honestly, that's something you do. Same example as my dad. Imagine if my dad would have told my sisters cuss all the time.
Yeah.
Pues no se iba a mirar bien.
I don't know. No, and it's funny that you bring that up. Like that's probably just for like a whole different topic. How, like the first ones, they got it bad. They're like it's strict, like has to be this way or the highway. And then the next generation, the next set of kids came up, and then it was like, okay, it was still kind of strict, but not so much. But now they have the younger ones, and I feel like they're a little bit more lenient on them.
Pero puede ser like this. Maybe it's just the kids too, because remember, Lily did say like, "Oh, my first child was so calm, so just being a child, and my second one is como."
Oh, that one's a little wild.
She loves to dance, and it's a she. I'm just kidding.
I don't know, but I mean, it's just crazy how that changes. I mean, I guess, like you said, we won't know until we get there. And how we're going to be dealing with certain situations, because it does have to do with how we're doing too. Like, let's say if we're having a really bad day, however it is that we react to whatever situation that they do, that's probably going, like, whatever, like, let's say if we're having a bad day, we might project that to them.
Yeah. I mean, I would say you will. And then depending depending on your wealth or how everything else on the outside of you is going on. Because if you have a good day to work, bills and all that, they're caught up. I mean, yeah, it affects everything. Like, for example, what if you had 3 kids at the beginning? So you're always work.
Yeah.
And at the end, maybe you have 1 or 2, pero pues ya los de principio ya están bien grandes, and you become more lenient because you're like, pues ya saqué la mitad, ahora nomás tengo estos, but it's a more easier piece of cake now.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough, man. Like, I mean, it's just about finding a balance. I don't have kids, but I feel like it's important to find a balance with everything. You have to be a role model first and foremost. You have to make sure that you're being a role model. Of course, we need to feed them. We need to make sure they have clothes, that we show them love, that you are able to spend time with them. So it's like all of these things. And then you throw music on top of it. Well, I mean, just to move it forward. But there's all of these factors that you have to pretty much put on a scale and try to make sure that it doesn't tip over. Because if you don't show them love, then something else is going to happen. I don't know. It's a lot with kids.
But that role model, now that you hit that, what's something you think you need to work with yourself to be then that role model for they don't catch that bad habit of yours?
The bad habit is overthinking. I want to make sure that I work on that even right now. I think I know I have gotten better with.
I think
look at me overthinking. Yeah. Look at me overthinking right now. I'm like, am I? No, I am. No, it's such a bad habit, but it's like, how do I work with that? How do I work on that to make sure that I don't pass that on to my kids? Because right now they ask me that question, like it's easier for me to, like if you ask me about my mom, oh, what is it that you want, like my parents, what is it that you would change? And immediately I can tell you, oh, this, and that. But then when you try to think about within, and that's the important part, the first step is to acknowledge it, right? The first step is to acknowledge that there's an issue, that you have an issue with something specifically. Now, the next step is to work on it.
Right.
How are you going to work on it?
¿Lo agarraste?
Se me fue. But, hats down to all the parents out there, to all of our friends, family who have kids out there, because the struggle is real. Because you already have, before you have your own kids, like you have your own things that you're still trying to deal with. And then if you don't work on them and solve it. I don't know if you ever get to solve it, but
you get to make it better.
You can make it better. Or at least
realize that this is something you have and you're not trying to pass it on.
Yeah. So what about yourself? What's something that you feel like you're like, you know what? I need to work on this before I have kids.
Probably taking compliments. How would that affect your child? Because one thing is that you have that issue, but you can compliment. Do you feel like you can give compliments? Yeah, I can give compliments. Yeah. But then the problem is, what if they give me a compliment and I don't react to it?
You're like, well, weirdo, get away. Scoot them on over.
Yeah. But I'm not comfortable with it because, again, you guys are always going to hear me say, because I was raised by myself, kind of. But, I just never really heard it from anybody. So you trying to do it to me now, I'm just like, whatever.
How do you feel you would work on that?
Give a feedback.
Give feedback?
Yeah, tell them, okay, thank you. Or okay. Thanks, so
accept
you did great. Yeah.
Yeah, but
accepting it and giving feedback are two different things.
Yeah.
Because for me to be accepting it, I could just be like, okay, but if I don't act like, okay, thank you, still it's an emotional feedback, and then it's a saying or word type of feedback too, that you need both of them, because just by one, I don't think it's great enough, in my opinion. I
feel like it's easier to give than to receive.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's something that you want to work on.
How would I fix? How do you fix an overthinker?
I think it's just yourself. You have to. I think you just have to be. It's easier said than done, right? But just be comfortable with your own self.
Yeah, one thing that I can think of that just happened recently was booking a trip. So before, when I book a trip, I'm like, oh, what about this? I'm always like, oh, it's too much, or I just overthink about booking a trip. I love going on trips, but I think about too much of every single little detail. Just recently, when I went to Sedona, was it Sedona? Yeah, it was just a spur of the moment. I was like, oh, let's go to Sedona. So we booked it, and it was probably in a matter of, I think it was maybe just a day or so, or I can't remember how long it took for us to book it. But we were set, we were going, and we booked it, y nos fuimos.
But I think then that part is easier. I think the other issues that you have for yourself to overthink, it's more of do I want to eat this or I don't want to eat this? No, I don't know. It's hard for me to kind of explain it.
I know. I'm trying to think a little bit more deeper about being an overthinker. Like, what's something that I do, or any overthinkers out there? Like, what is it that you overthink about too much? I would have to weight loss.
You overthink. No, I think I don't really think that's the issue. The issue of you overthinking sometimes is like, but what if this? But what if that? Meaning like more like even to our children, because you're like, oh no, not this because of that, or no because of this. It's just like, okay, but how are you gonna know if they're like it or not, or like if it's gonna cause some issue or not? Like, you don't know unless you let them do it. And just for you'd be already like, no. Like, I don't want to find out from their own selves, basically.
Yeah, no, you're right. And it brings it back to like when my mom would take us to places like to be active, go to karate, do soccer. But it was more like, oh my gosh, what would people say? What if, blah, 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 blah. I think that's what it was. And another one that I was just like, oh my gosh, no, there's people here. Yeah. That's true. And that's something I do not want to pass on to my kids. But then sometimes maybe it's just genetics.
Could be.
Here I go again.
I would say genetics.
Trying to find an excuse. Or, well, what about this? Like, man, like, hats down to my older sister. She's like, she puts my niece into a bunch of activities. And my niece too, man, hats down to her. Like, she's done so many activities in the short life that her short 14 years of life. She's been a lifeguard. I think she's done like something about firefighting. She's working on getting her pilot license. She's done MMA. She's done so many freaking things. And it's because she's not an overthinker. She's a doer. She's just like, let's do it, and like doesn't think about it, just does it. And that's freaking awesome. So shout out to you, sister. Shout out to you, niece.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, as you can tell, just stuff like that. Because like, I know, and again, we know now that, dogs, some type of foods get them sick. And for you, like, even just a little piece, or like, oh, it's just for today, you're already like, no, you can't give it to them. They're gonna get this, they're gonna get that. Or if they start having the runs, you already automatically be like, oh, they need to go to the freaking vet. And it's like, relax.
Hey,
it's a new food for them. They might get better. Maybe if it's a whole 5 weeks, they don't want to. 5 days, they don't want to eat or something. You
have seen how much that vet bill is. Okay,
I haven't.
Not only the vet bill. Oh, I know how much that vet bill, and it's our babies. Like, I want to have them for as long as I possibly can. So that there's certain things that it's okay to analyze. I'm not gonna say everything. Oh, look at me. Trying to make something that I'm going to overanalyze. Oh, that's bad too.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just gonna
make sure that my babies are okay.
I know, but that's why I'm saying sometimes you just gotta let them try to figure it out a little here.
Families are complicated. Families are so complicated.
Yes.
That's why. Okay, so I like doing research. When we look up these topics, I like doing my research. I like doing all this stuff. But when you're doing research, the algorithm catches up to you. It catches up to what you're looking for. So I found a video. This is going to be, maybe it's going to be completely off topic, but whatever. But it has to do with families.
But I think it is going to be the last one, y nos vamos topic.
It is going to be the last one, y nos vamos topic.
All right.
So there's this guy in Colombia that has a whole family of mannequins.
Jeez.
So he has a wife.
Are they rubber ones, or are they the old kind?
I don't know. Like, they look like just like
inflatable ones now.
Probably just an inflatable one. But he has a whole family. They're all made out of mannequins. He has 2 kids. And the reason why he started doing that is that people think that he's doing that because his last relationship, he absolutely loved her or whatever. So they think that maybe he's obsessed with her. So he's creating like he always said that he wanted to have kids, have a wife by the time that, that he was like in his 20s. So they think that maybe he's obsessed with that girl. So he's just creating like this fantasy life for himself.
Jeez.
And it's crazy because like he takes them out everywhere that they go. They go to the park.
Oh, it's literally crazy.
No, it
Not
is.
an opinion. It is. I'm just kidding.
And no, people were saying like, oh, maybe he's doing it for views. Maybe he's doing it for likes. Clout. Yeah, no, but you can tell that he's genuinely doing it because there was one part where I guess he started dating like a real life person. He started dating a real life person and supposedly like the wife mannequin, he created a profile for her. So supposedly the wife was posting like, oh, like leave us alone, like we're in a relationship. Yeah. And then I guess the relationship didn't work out. So the guy ended up burning the mannequin. So he burnt the mannequin, and you can see like he's visibly distraught, like he's filming himself crying. And I'll see if I enter like videos or clips of it.
I'm sorry, but I just cannot keep on watching. But you just telling me this, I'm like, just stop already.
Really? Yes. Like it creeps you out?
No, more than creeps me out. It's just like, man, like so much time wasted. And in my eyes, I know he has an issue. You know, I get that. But it's like, can we just try and get him help instead?
Yeah.
Instead of him making a whole, I mean, whatever he's creating. But I just feel like I would like for him to just receive professional help instead of keep going with the whole scene.
That's what they were saying, because they were saying that he, like when they were dating, when he was dating his ex-girlfriend, his latest ex-girlfriend, she said that he would eventually like start talking, having conversations by himself. So people are assuming that maybe he's schizophrenic. And like having conversations with like literal conversations like we're having right now.
Right.
On his own. But yeah, hopefully he gets medical help that he needs, because that sucks.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to handle not even a 1 minute if they try to bring a season out of it.
No, I don't know. That's odd. That's very odd. And he's not the only one. I remember before I saw this one a couple years ago, like I think it was on TLC, where this guy had a whole relationship with a girl, and yeah.
Yeah, I think también. I think it's just really starting to come out more, because I believe this girl también, she got married to this mannequin.
Oh yeah. I think I saw that one. Yeah. Oh, but going back to that Christopher guy, I think that's his name. He like when he created his first mannequin girlfriend, the one that he recorded like if she was having a baby, like if the mannequin was having a baby.
Oh man.
Yeah. Okay, you said to stop. I'll stop. But yeah, guys, that's our last When Nos Vamos story to close off.
Jeez, that was a creepy one.
Maybe I should do a disclaimer. There is going to be a creepy
ending to this.
A creepy ending to this podcast.
Bueno, pues that was a great story. Yo creo que mucha gente le va a encantar. Appreciate your story there, Margarita.
Absolutely. I hope you can sleep well tonight.
Oh, no, please don't do that. Bueno, ya le vamos a cerrar. Thank you again. Thank you guys again for clicking on this video. Hopefully you liked it. Please subscribe.
Guys. Subscribe, like, share.
Como dijo Anthony, to your grandpa, grandparents, grandmas.
Your cat, your dog, your fish, el que sea.
Hasta your mannequin.
Oh, shit.
Bueno, pues aquí ya nos vamos.
Thank you, guys.
Later.
Bye.